I've always believed in the saying that you never really know your neighbors. I thought it was just a cautionary phrase, a piece of advice to keep your distance and maintain a certain level of privacy. Little did I know, it would become a chilling truth that would haunt my nights and turn my once serene neighborhood into a nightmare. It all started innocently enough when the Smiths moved in next door. They seemed like the perfect neighbors at first glance, a young couple with a toddler and a dog, leading a seemingly ordinary life. The husband, Mark, was friendly, always ready with a smile and a wave whenever we crossed paths. His wife, Emily, was more reserved, but pleasant nonetheless. It was the kind of neighborhood where everyone knew each other's names, and doors were left unlocked without a second thought. As the days passed, I began to notice peculiar things about the Smiths. Strange noises emanated from their house at odd hours, muffled screams, unsettling whispers, and an occasional sound that resembled the dragging of heavy furniture. At first, I dismissed it as my imagination playing tricks on me. It wasn't until I started hearing it more frequently that I began to question my sanity. Late one night, unable to sleep due to the disturbing sounds, I decided to investigate. I crept out of my house, making sure to avoid any creaky floorboards that might give away my presence. The moonlight illuminated the Smiths' house, casting eerie shadows on their windows. As I approached, I could hear hushed voices from within, speaking in a language I couldn't quite place. I pressed my ear against the wall, trying to make out the words. The conversation grew more intense, and my unease deepened. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream pierced the air, freezing me in place. It was Emily's voice, filled with terror and pain. My heart raced as I debated whether to call the police or confront the Smiths directly. I chose the latter, fueled by a mixture of fear and a sense of duty. With trembling hands, I knocked on their front door. The voices inside abruptly fell silent. After what felt like an eternity, Mark opened the door, his smile strangely intact. "Hey, neighbor. What brings you here?" he asked, feigning innocence. I stammered, "I heard screaming, and I just wanted to make sure everything's okay." He chuckled, dismissing my concern. "Oh, don't worry about it. Emily's just a bit clumsy, always tripping over things. Nothing to be concerned about." I wasn't convinced. The fear in Emily's voice was too real to be dismissed as mere clumsiness. As I left their doorstep, I couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister lurked beneath the facade of suburban normalcy. Days turned into weeks, and the unsettling events escalated. My once friendly neighbors became increasingly reclusive, avoiding eye contact and interaction. The strange noises persisted, echoing through the walls like a macabre symphony. I decided to take matters into my own hands and began researching the history of the Smiths. To my horror, I discovered a series of unsolved disappearances associated with every place they had lived before. The chilling details sent shivers down my spine: missing persons, unexplained deaths, and a pattern of moving whenever suspicion began to arise. I felt a knot in my stomach as I realized the true nature of my neighbors. Determined to expose them, I set up surveillance equipment, documenting every peculiar occurrence. The more evidence I gathered, the darker the truth became. Mark and Emily were not who they claimed to be. Their seemingly perfect family was a facade for a sinister secret they were hiding, a secret that involved dark rituals and a thirst for something beyond my comprehension. One fateful night, as I sat in my dimly lit living room, reviewing the footage, I heard a knock on my door. My heart pounded in my chest as I cautiously opened it. To my horror, Mark and Emily stood before me, their eyes devoid of humanity. "We know what you've been doing," Mark whispered, his voice sending chills down my spine. "You can't escape what's coming." I slammed the door shut, frantically searching for a way to escape this nightmare. The walls seemed to close in as their eerie chants resonated through the house. The once familiar neighborhood now felt like a maze of dread, with no way out. As the ritual reached its climax, I found myself trapped in a nightmarish reality. The boundary between the living and the otherworldly blurred, and I became a witness to horrors beyond comprehension. The Smiths had opened a gateway to something malevolent, and my once quiet neighborhood had become a breeding ground for darkness. to this day, the memories of that dreadful night haunt me. I live with the knowledge that true horror can lurk behind the most ordinary facades. And that you never truly know your neighbors, until it's too late.